Hello, I'm Eddy Frumkin, a filmmaker, film critic, and everyone's favorite moviegoer, according to Screen Slate.
Hi, I'm William George Lewis, writer, director, producer, I also program, and Eddie's gonna tell us what types of films qualify for our list this year.
Anything that had a week-long streaming or theatrical release, and those that had Oscar qualifying runs, will be considered 2025 films.
Before we begin, just want to mention that Eddie and I do not know each other's lists, so this will be a complete surprise to both of us. So without further ado, we'll start with Eddie's first film that he'd like to highlight.
My number 8 film of the year had a quiet theatrical release at the Brooklyn Academy of Music this past June. Following festival appearances at Rotterdam, Black Star, TIFF, and New York Film Festival last year, it is Madeline Hunt Ehrlich's The Ballad of Suzanne Césaire. In the ballad, Hunt Ehrlich gives care to depicting the life of the eponymous seminal figure of the Negritude movement. While respecting Césaire's wishes of not being widely remembered, Hunt Ehrlich and the team coax poetry in bringing Césaire's artistry to the screen. Though it's largely fictional, Jacques Rivette's quote, "Every film is a doctrine of its own making, revealing traces of reality and process," applies perfectly to this magnificent piece of art.
Suzanne Césaire était quelqu'un qui plaçait très haut. C'est difficile d'être un auteur très productif quand on a 6 enfants. Suzanne a fait 6 enfants.
Scene 5, take 1, mark.
At night, people are singing in the streets. We have no fear. The time has come for us to demand our fair share.
Of course, Eddie, we start off our video with a film I have not seen. I had first heard of it when it was programmed in the current section of last year. Didn't know it had a theatrical release because you said it was quiet. Is it reenactments? Because you do say that it's heavily fictionalized, but it is based on reality and a real figure.
We see the actor Zita Hurlot playing the role of Suzanne Césaire, where in the film it's about an actress coming into this role of what is not known publicly about, as there's several forces such as Suzanne being married to the politician Aimé Césaire, where he would get a lot of the spotlight over her, as well as the systemic sexism and racism within the Negritude movement and outside as well. There's not much known about Suzanne, and it was wonderful and a bit of a gift too to know and see how the cast and crew dive into this project. And the DP of this movie, Alex Ash, also shot Peter Hujar's Day this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is a wonderful fun fact. And I was moved by the care and seeing how anti-biopic it was, because this, as well as Peter Hujar's Day, Magellan, Pavements, were a splash or a good wave of anti-biopics. And this was a film that's more about trying to observe the facts and how to live with it versus reenacting history.
Nice. For anyone that's not familiar with or doesn't live in a major city that had access to go to BAM to see this.
The Ballad of Suzanne Césaire is available to stream on Criterion Channel starting next month in January.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll definitely be checking it out. My number 8 film of the year is Hong Sang-soo's 30-second feature film, By the Stream. This is his Be Water film, which emphasizes adaptability, formlessness, and resilience. Each day, a lecturer named Jal Nim goes to a stream by the school to sketch and grasp the patterns from the stream. As a scandalous incident arises among her students, Jal Nim brings in her uncle to direct a skit put on by her department at the same university he directed 40 years earlier. Jal Nim and her uncle end up involved in the students' drama, but ultimately they get through it together. This is my favorite Hong film since 2017's The Day After.
거꾸로 상륙 쪽으로 올라가는 거예요. 패턴을 잡는 것부터 시작해서 제가 몸을 움직여야 완성을 할 수 있는 거라. 그리고 제가 지금 스케치하고 있는 거는 수요라고 할 거예요. 저는 실물에서 패턴을 얻는 게 맞는 것 같아요.
이쪽은 다 익은 것 같은데 드세요.
네.
드세요.
나중에는 되게 단순화되는 과정이지만 그 머릿속으로 짜낸 이거는 좀 너무 다른 것 같거든요.
제스처, 또 여러분들의 몸의 움직임들, 목소리의 톤, 그것의 변화,
그 대본 절대 안 써요 우리.
눈빛의 변화, 이런 것들이 어쩌면 대사보다도 더 많은 것을 전달할 수 있는 그런 연극을 만들고 싶다 이거예요.
진짜로 사랑하는 하루를 살아가고 싶습니다. 진짜 사랑하는 것만으로 가득 찬 그런 하루를 보내고 싶습니다. 한 하루를 살더라도.
너 빨갱이?
Wow. I know you're the biggest Hong head in New York City.
Yeah.
So,
IndieWire 2015 anointed me the biggest Hong fan of New York City.
wow.
Yeah.
With By the Stream, as I'll be adamant that I'm not too much about Hong, this is like my third one based on my memory. I remember seeing In Our Day, and then he had, Traveler's Need. So this is my third one. And based on the three I saw, like there's so much about memory, playfulness, about like the lives in the characters' environments, and then seeing how they all intertwine into that. And even though there's not much happening visually, there's so much verbal expositions and callbacks. And like in the earlier ones, there will be a cup of sake, and then like soju. Thank you for correcting me.
No worries.
And then seeing the cat and the zoom. So like trying to look out for that zoom when I see a Hong.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about Hong is a lot of people talk about him remaking similar films over and over again. But with this one, I feel like he's gearing towards a new path in his career while highlighting younger protagonists, as he has within the last few of his films. What really struck me about this one as well that made me feel connected is because these younger protagonists are around my age. The thing about this film is Hong doesn't make films that are like sad or may elicit tears, but this one actually made me cry. But this one and 2018's Hotel by the River are big stretches for Hong to bring in more dramatic elements to his filmmaking, because that's not what he's known for. One of my favorite scenes of the year is after they do the play, they go out and eat and they drink soju, like most of the film. And I want to preface to anyone, don't watch any Hong film, especially this one, on an empty stomach, because it's not gonna you're not going to have your best viewing watching people eat and drink and talk and argue for 90 minutes. But after they do the skit, spoiler, they go and have dinner, and the uncle and the four main actors of the skit are having this acting exercise where each young woman has this moment where they talk about the person that they want to be. This goes on unbroken for maybe 10 minutes of every girl unbroken saying something extremely vulnerable about the person they want to be. And for me, as a male, cisgender, straight guy, I was amazed and surprised and moved to tears. As Hong is getting older, he just had a child with Kim and Hee. I think that he's in a segue of his filmmaking that is more reflective on youth, more so than inserting doppelgangers of himself into his narratives, as he has done a lot within the past.
Wow. You need to write the new Tale Cinema monograph. My sixth favorite film of the year is a New York setting film starring two versatile actors in contemporary Taiwanese cinema, Ki Chai-woo and Lee Kang-sheng, making their stateside splash. Constant Song's debut feature, Blue Sun Palace. Song's screenplay and Norm Lee's lush 16mm cinematography reinvents the meaning of interiority towards characters and geography in this atypical New York film. While a tragic Lunar New Year's event serves as a driving force for the characters, Thong and company's patient long takes makes the audience feel voluminous warmth and soul and cope with the characters' trauma.
女人心海底针，真搞不懂。我在电视上看到弟弟的新闻，能告诉我到底发生了什么？
不要生气，放松。
不要生气，
不要生气，
不要生气。
他再这样下去一定会瞎掉吧？
好担心他呀。
就是你看到的那个样子啊。我只是觉得我想要改变。
Yeah, I love this movie a lot, and this narrowly missed my my top 10. It was the first film that we saw at New Directors, New Films for the press screening. I walked in completely blind. I didn't even read the blurb. So to my surprise, I didn't, and you said it was an atypical New York film, which that is 100% correct. I've lived in New York City for over 13 years, and I did not know it was set in New York City until 3/4 of the film, when Lee Kang-sheng went to Baltimore and said he was from New York.
There are so many movies that it's hard to keep in my head, but because of how I walked in and how I walked out, feeling the emotional stakes with the characters' lives, and Song's greatly subversive screenplay in her direction went to follow Ki Shai's character and Lee's. I thought it would be more Western-oriented, traditional in terms of who we would see, and then there was a good third supporting character, Dee, who's her event, which I forgot the actor's name, but the person who played Dee is just nominated for an Independent Spirit Award for her performance, and that I feel like there's so much like visceralness that comes with like dreaming and expressing our desires, and then the circumstances that we all live in like sometimes prevent them, pushes them back, and like scarred like Amy's character and a little bit with Chang, like Lee Kang-sheng's character, and just seeing them like going into the American landscape, well, with a great director too, like you would know that it would be a lot of tenderness, love, like the early karaoke scene with Dee Dee and Chang, and just knowing that in even the salon space, the hair salon that's historically a commune for many Asian women, and was a safe haven before certain men will come into those space, and it makes me think of the Atlanta hate crime 4 years ago. So it just harkened me back to hearing that article, and like we don't see too much trauma and suffering, but more about the joy and the love that we have with each other. And even after this incident, like Amy's still in touch with Chang a little bit, even though it's somewhat strange from that, but they try to make community together regardless of the circumstances.
I highly would recommend watching this movie. Eddie, where could you watch it?
It's streaming on Mubi right now to stream Blue Sun Palace, and it's available to rent VOD.
My number 6 film of the year is April, the second feature film written and directed by Dea Kalum Begeshvili. Made in secret from a rural part of the country, Georgia, where the filmmaker grew up, an OBGYN who also performs illegal abortions, Nina, faces problems after the death of a newborn. She remains determined to provide care to those who won't despite her risk. This story also mirrors the person telling it. While immersed back into her hometown village, the filmmaker watched a woman she knew die, killed by a person she knew, and knew the chief of police who arrested and attacked the killer. Because of April, it's extremely unlikely that Dia will ever get to make a film in Georgia again.
Enjoy the dish. აგეშინი რომ ერთ დღესაც დაგიჭერენ და ყველაფერს დაკარგავდნენ.
ნინა. ახალ ამბავი გაიგე.
ჩვენი საიდუმლო იყოს კარგი? პირდები? შეხომეიც გესმის ჩემი. უარი მიგონთხრა. გეცდები.
April, man, that was a thriller when I saw it last year at New York Film Festival's press screening. But again, this is what I don't like about being a New Yorker, where like I'll have to remember New York Film Festival selections that play in the fall of the previous year, then heading into the spring, you know.
Oh, like the Ballad of Suzanne.
Like, like last year, you had multiple such movies.
No, definitely.
Whereas like the only one I
both
had
mine,
last
By
year
the
was,
Stream, and
yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to talk over you, but both of them were New York Film Festival films last year.
Yeah. What I was struck by April was just the pain that you can't dare to look away from, and what I'm sad about is that it may not be available in the U.S. for a little bit because the Metrograph Pictures situation, which like all the movies that Metrograph Pictures acquired this last year, is like, what are they doing? You know, how the filmmakers there are being distributed, and we need movies like this to get the word about what's happening in Georgia and how it applies universally in the U.S. too.
I revisited it at Film Forum. I got to see it initially in Alice Tully at New York Film Festival the previous year. And then I loved her first film, Beginning. A little backstory about the filmmaker. She got her MFA at Columbia. And if you look at clips of her doing Q&As, she speaks English fluently and well. She doesn't need a translator. But for her first two films, it was important for her to make films in Georgia in the Georgian language. I just love the progressiveness about not holding back. Like I said, this is a mirror into not just the protagonist that we see on screen, but the filmmaker herself, because she is doing something that she knows that could harm herself by helping others and telling these stories. Anybody can watch Dia's first film, Beginning, on Mubi, but yeah, there's no physical release.
There's no home video.
Yeah,
or
it's not
VOD.
even on YouTube or Amazon.
I saw April at the Broken Rail's Greatest Unseen Films, and the writer mentioned because of the Metrograph Pictures situation. That's why it's like now considered one of the greatest films that's never widely seen. My fourth favorite film of the year is Tunisia's Oscar entry, The Voice of Hind Rajab, from Oscar-nominated director Kafir Ben Hania, depicting one of too many killings during the live-streamed genocide in Palestine. Ben Hania implements audio from Hind's real-life dispatch call in their constructed, scripted scenes. Though it appeals simple for dispatchers to do a 10-minute drive, Ben Hania unveils the systemic violence and barriers proceeding with such a task for the dispatchers, as they must engage with the murderers of their own community.
لكن تضغطي وما تحاولي ما تنزفيش يعني حاولي انك تسكري الجرم.
تمام السيارة جاية.
الو طوارئ الهلال الاحمر رام الله الضفه الغربيه عمر معك تفضل. الو شو اسمك انت؟
انا مولودة حمادة. كل دم أمامك فيني. ماما غيرت حالي.
مهدي احتمال احتاج سيارة اسعاف.
عمر حبيبي احنا مجبرين نأمن له مسلة كامل.
اذا ما فيش معها وقت.
شايف هدول يا شاب؟ خسرناهم كلهم.
8 دقايق ممكن تكلفهم حياتهم اذا ما عملناش التنسيق وعماره.
They are shooting at a car with a little girl inside. Can you imagine that? So do something. انت في التمهيدي؟ هند انا جايين ناخدك احنا.
كل دم أمامك فيني. أنا بكون محزونة عايزة
بس لسه في فضا، لسه معنا وقت.
So Eddie, this is my number 5 film of the year.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, wow, what a film. And for me, I didn't have the balls to talk about it because, yeah, it was extremely impactful for me. I'm starting to cry now just thinking about it. Even the blurb I'm going to mention when I reveal my top 10 list. Try not to even, like, words can't even justify this film. It's just something that you need to watch and experience because it happened. And what I love about Kafir Ben Hania, the filmmaker, she's really doing great things and making impactful films in unique ways by recreation and incorporating documentary and narrative together. So for this to be a young girl trapped in a car's actual 911 call reenacted by actors in the call center for almost 2 hours was an incredibly hard watch. It's an extremely important film to be made, told, and seen, but financiers and distributors are probably would shy away from material like this because they don't want to alienate people. They don't want to, but fuck all that noise. This is
Also, the film's getting strong attraction advocacy from Rooney Mara, Mark Ruffalo, and Alfonso Cuarón as EPs. Like, seeing this film got me so numb to my core because it reminds me of me, like, doom-scrolling everyday footage in Palestine, regardless, like, who has filmed, but at the same time recognizing the context of how they're releasing the footage out in Palestine, and seeing something in real life about over a year ago, and then being claustrophobic in the staged like call center set. Don't know if that was like an actual location or if they built it, but you feel the claustrophobia, the limitations that the dispatchers could do, and the systems in place. And also, this film was like collaborated with his actual family members, so there was like a lot of care into it, and it's not an easy film to watch, and you need to hug someone after a screening and be with other people. Like, you can't really watch that movie by yourself.
No, definitely not. You could just hear everybody in the audience like sobbing throughout the film because of this hard subject matter that we're seeing. But for this one especially, I just want to make this a little clear. Hind is 6 years old. She was 6 years old in a car of like 5 deceased family members.
Jesus.
Asking for help. And I didn't even realize it was only a 10-minute ride.
Yeah, that was like
a 10-minute ride.
Like 10 to 15-minute drive. Like, wasn't too far away, but there's so many systems in the name of protocol. It's disheartening system, and the way of life, they have to talk to the IDF about it.
No, definitely. And even people they sent out to help her died as well, right?
I don't know too much of the whole story, but it's definitely like not a satisfying one if we're still living with these effects.
I think you're very brave for highlighting this film. This was on my... I backed out in the last minute and chose another film because, like I said, I didn't know if I had anything enlightened to provide about this film other than encouraging people to see it.
Yeah.
It's like you fucking hear this 6-year-old girl for an hour and a half asking for help.
Yeah, 82 minutes. Damn.
It's fucking terrible.
Yeah. It was hard to move around, hard to socialize for like an hour after that.
My fourth favorite film of the year is writer-director Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. This is my favorite American film of the year, with characters such as Perfidia Beverly Hills, Colonel Stephen J. Lockjaw, Sensei Sergio St. Carlos, and antagonists such as the Christmas Adventurers Club and a Seaman Demon. This is a wild ride of a picture that needs to be seen to be believed. The fearless PTA is getting soft in his old age, but he also has total and complete freedom. Hail Saint Nick.
Rise and shine.
Bat an eyelash.
Good morning.
There are no hands on the clock
Why?
because they're not needed.
What time is it?
Fuck. You know, I don't remember that part. All right, let's just not nitpick over the passwords. This is Bob Ferguson. I was a part of the French 75.
Bitch, I felt like Tony Montana!
Steve Lockjaw just attacked my home. And I cannot remember, for the life of my only child, the answer to your question.
Maybe you should have studied the rebellion text a little harder.
I need to find my daughter.
Well, then call us back when you have the time.
You just...
You know, you are so unsuitable for my daughter. My child comes from a whole line of revolutionaries. And you look so lost. What are you gonna do about this baby?
You know what freedom is? What? No fear. Go.
Fucking World War III out there!
Not one thing, it's another. Find that to be true. I need you, brother. Sensei, please.
Courage, Bob.
Courage. That's it. Courage. Yeah. Thank you. Hey, thank you, Sensei. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you. God damn it! Viva la revolution!
So Eddie, what do you think about PTA's latest masterpiece?
It had strong beginnings for me, but then I was like thinking maybe a little too much about the racial and gender politics that I know that's going to polarize people, and even with the battles of Algiers, you know, it's just thinking so much about what does it mean to be a political filmmaker as well as making political film, whereas like PTA, like I don't know how much of that he's committed to, but also just seeing from a major studio making things that could be labeled revolutionary, but then at the same time though, like you might be worried about other movies or filmmakers that many other studios will be ripping off. It's just that it feels like good movies at the moment, but then like in 5 years, I don't know how much of these same politics will be the same or the value now, but like again, like can't deny the scope, Chase Infinity's performance, and Regina Hall, Teyana Taylor, and Sean Penn, Leonardo. Like there's so many great performances there.
No, definitely. The second time that PTA's made a film based on a Thomas Pynchon adaptation, and I feel like the Leo character and the Joaquin Phoenix character in Inherent Vice definitely have very similar vibes. But why I'm saying that I feel like he's getting soft in his old age, moving away from an Inherent Vice and going to now from one battle after another, and you can kind of see this within his last 3 films. Phantom Thread had elements that could be construed as what he and his partner since 2001, Maya Rudolph, have experienced within how they interact with each other. And so I felt like that was a very personal tell towards them. Then you go to Licorice Pizza, where that's kind of retelling his childhood story through a lot of actors that are children of well-known actors. So essentially a cast of Nepo babies in the San Bernardino Valley. Retelling like maybe a personal story from him in his childhood. I feel like I see a lot more personal familial ties within this film that are important, and why I can see why he would want to make a film. Robert Altman was a mentor of Paul Thomas Anderson, and I feel like this has the spirit of an Altman film, large ensemble, great performances, a lot of locations and set pieces, probably took a lot of shooting days, more so than, obviously it's a huge budget, the largest budget he's ever had to make a film. I got to see it again just recently. First time I saw it was in VistaVision, and then my revisit for the second time, which this movie does really grow within multiple viewings because there's so much going on. It's kind of hard to really fully understand everything until you go revisit it, and then you can see there's, everything's in place to set up the next scene.
Well, I think that this is more of a drama, but the Golden Globes think that this is a comedy.
Don't get me started on the Golden Globes.
My favorite film of the year is a thesis film from Cal Arts student Julian Castronovo titled Debut, or Objects of the Field of Debris as Currently Cataloged. In Debut, a filmmaker, also named Julian Castronovo, deciphered what's original and real in his career path as a filmmaker and pseudo-detective over the mysterious case of art forger and gallerist Eli Sacke. With elements of Dashiell Hammett and Orson Welles, Castronovo delivers a cyber noir for Gen Z.
I want to tell you a story. First, a brief preface concerning our primary subject. He is 6'1" and 155 pounds. He is 23 years old. We know that he possesses an average intelligence. We know his name is Julian Castronovo.
And I have been advised to begin keeping a record of my findings.
Our subject suspects that he lives in a room once occupied by a skilled forger who has been missing for 20 years.
By chance, I stumbled across this as sort of a mystery, and I think that this is a mystery I might be able to solve.
Our subject begins to look for clues. He takes triple his daily Ritalin prescription, and
to the situation.
Here he finds a cardboard box. Inside the box
Trying
is a
to frame it
Chinese
as like a
and a Hello Kitty keychain.
crime sort of
properly
blended
figure out what the images mean.
documentary fiction thing. But
I'm fairly certain I'm being followed. There are powerful people, maybe.
3 faded photographs.
Who have an interest in preventing me from continuing to look into this disappearance.
Hello? What are you? I don't really know.
You ought to.
So yes, I've seen this film. I actually saw it a couple times. It did get a theatrical.
It had a road show at the LA's Now Instant Image Hall in mid-October before showing it twice at Roxy, and then has like an online release on the digital zine website that the film comes with like a zine that Julian wrote. So yeah, this was a movie that is like F is for Fake or a Raymond Chandler novel or the 40s noirs, but make it about the oneself. And also Julian is fictionalizing his own life, and he spoke about in interviews where the stuff that the fictional Julian has to do, the real one needs to follow that in suit, and making evidence, documents to like make it available for the fictional and the real one. Being amazed about how he made this movie on a $900 budget. He paid a voice actor and going to Czech Republic, so those are like his main expenses for that movie. Like he was filming for several years on his phone or doing a lot of like rendered laptop editing, like filming on like photo booth, low quality, and seeing the objects that he takes photos of and how they're edited. Like can't tell like if it's like the present or a little of the future with how holographic some of the objects are that he like captures in the film. There is so much fun, like how he reinvents the diary film.
No, definitely.
And
the struggle of what it can be to make your debut feature.
Yeah, like
because what I gravitated towards is I'm in development hell for my first feature right now, and so for this young grad student to make a thesis film based on trying to make a film, and I think one of the best parts is when we learned that he eventually moves to LA. He was in New York in the beginning of the film. Then he goes out to LA, and he's a very good-looking young kid, has friends. He likes to go out and drink martinis and like socialize, and he You'll get to see his friends within the film, but he also makes these fake
business cards.
Business cards, yeah, fake business cards. Somebody actually called him that was of the company, and that eventually became his producer because he was just calling him to just warn him, like, hey, you need to stop saying you represent this, but I checked out your work online, and I want to set up a meeting with you.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like, that's where the film started to really like blossom for me. But as you can kind of see as the film like ends, nothing really comes of it. So for me, I mean, what's your take of the end? Like, they're really...
My take was that there was just so much of like many directions, and there's no one way to be a filmmaker. And yes, now Julian could say that he has a feature film, because a lot of people will be like how can you make a feature if you haven't made a feature? That's so...
No, it's that conundrum of like, no one's going to give you money if you haven't made one, but how are you going to make one if you don't have the money? So yeah, to spend $900 to showcase that you can make a really great feature film that somebody can gravitate towards and put as their #1 film of 2025, yeah, how can you hate that? The title is Arabic for the word path or way. It's also an Islamic belief referring to a narrow and perilous bridge that everyone must cross on the day of judgment to enter paradise. It's described to be thinner than a hair and sharper than a sword, with the fruitful crossing it swiftly, while the sinners may fall into hell below. Don't let anyone spoil this film for you. The less you know, the better. I've seen it 4 times on the big screen, and I'm going to see it again in early February 2026 for the theatrical premiere. Writer-director Oliver Lachey's Surat is my favorite film of the year.
Es mi hija. Hace 5 meses que no sabemos nada de ella.
Hay otra fiesta en el desierto. A lo mejor estará por ahí.
¿Vosotros vais a ir?
¡Vamos detrás de ellos! ¡Venga!
¿Nos estáis siguiendo?
Este coche no va a pasar.
Pues vamos a seguir igual.
¿Dónde es la fiesta?
En el sur, cerca de Mauritania.
La guerre a débuté cette nuit. L'aéroport militaire a été touché, d'épaisses colonnes de fumée s'en échappent.
¡Afak! ¡A una!
Aquí solo hay polvo.
Yeah, I mean, I knew, like, especially how you share so much hype, and then I just wonder if you want to see it 4 times, was it to see how it plays differently at different speakers, different theaters?
Definitely. Like I said, we're not going to really delve into what this movie's about. It is more of an experience. The reason why it's my #1 is for the visceral way it makes me feel. I think this movie, out of any movie this year, captures image and sound in a superior way on the same level. And like any kind of music concert, because this is about rave culture in the Moroccan desert, it's kind of like being at a concert and hearing the same music over and over and just being a fan and wanting to tour and see your favorite band over and over, even though you know the songs, you know what's going to happen, but here's a new group of people that you're going to be seeing it with. What was exciting for me is the first time I saw it was in Alice Tully Hall at New York Film Festival this year. I saw 10 films this year, and it was literally the only film that no one was talking or texting throughout the entire film. And for me personally, on that first viewing, I was literally sitting on the edge of my seat during the second half. And that's why I'm like, please don't let anybody spoil this for you, because I don't want anybody to be robbed of that experience. There's just something about this, the metaphysical, the familial. The filmmaker was inspired by Stalker, Easy Rider, and Mad Max, and wanted to make an amalgamation. He's also into rave culture and loves techno music, so the blend of that just make this film for me above anything else.
Shout out to King Ding Ray for the score. My God, I was dancing to when I first saw Walter Reed. And then, like, this is a film that is always going to question, like, who is it for? Is it for, like, the mainstream, for the experimental heads? Like, there was a certain plot point that I won't review where one of my friends, like, thinking about that. It's like, I don't think he cares about that. Lakshay is more about the atmospheric, trying to show the mystery side of things. Like, he loves landscapes with Mimosa and Fire Will Come with his previous two features. Though I wish that I could like it like you, but like it was definitely one that's like bopping to it. But again, like one of those films that you don't really know how to prescribe that I could list it forever or in a certain temporality, which I really love Sirats, don't get me wrong, but just don't know if I would say it's my number one of the year. So
yeah, I mean, I think the best type of art is one where you don't feel apathetic. This is the type of film you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. This film goes into some dark places and has heavy subject material, but it's a big swing. But also just feeling that same impact, especially on that first twist, even when I know it's coming, it's just bam, right in the gut. Like, I want to feel something.
My number 10 is The Mastermind, written and directed by Kelly Reichardt, a fitting addition to Kelly Reichardt's anti-genre noir like Mirror's Cutoff and Night Moves. Crime and politics intertwine in The Mastermind, where money influences the protagonist's plans for the worse. My number 9, Zodiac Killer Project by Charlie Shackleton, a witty, riveting imagination of an unrealized film and the personal takedown on the American true crime media landscape. Number 8, The Ballad of Suzanne Cecere, written and directed by Madeline Hunt Ehrlich. My number 7 is Room Temperature, written and directed by Zach Farley and Dennis Cooper. Set around Halloween, the third feature-length collab from Zach Farley and acclaimed novelist Dennis Cooper is a funny, startling decipherment of rituals and performance. My number 6 is Blue Sun Palace, written and directed by Constance Song. My number 5, Below the Clouds by Gianfranco Rosi. This hypnotic chapter in Rosi's Nepal saga questions what can truly be apocalyptic in the city that has already been on fire. My number 4 of the year is The Voice of Hind Rajab, written and directed by Kauthar Ben Hania. My number 3 of the year is Magellan, one of the most easily digestible films from Time Lord Lav Diaz at 160 minutes. Every frame in the spellbinding film confronts the long-term effects of colonialism in the Philippines. My number 2, Black News, Terms and Conditions. Khalil Joseph's unclassifiable debut feature shatters preconceptions of a movie's criteria and characteristics, featuring contributions from artists and scholars like Saidiya Hartman, Garrett Bradley, Arthur Jaffa, and Raven Jackson. Black News' freeform structure fits seamlessly in the theater, gallery, and on a phone. My number 1, Debut or Objects of the Field of Debris as currently cataloged, written and directed by Julian Castronovo.
My number 10 film, Sorry Baby. An extraordinary debut feature by writer, director, star Ava Victor. After a bad thing happens, Agnes, now a professor working at her alma mater, is trying to get her life back on track with the support of a few close friends. The sandwich scene is one of my favorites of the year. My number 9 film of the year is If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Who's never had the roof of their home cave in on them and have their landlord neglect to fix it in a timely manner? This is writer-director Mary Bronstein's Eraserhead for Mommies. Also, Rose Byrne gives one of the best performances of the year. My number 8, By the Stream, by writer, director, producer, editor, cinematographer, composer Hong Sang-soo. My number 7, writer-director Masha Selensky's Sound of Falling. Set in a remote German farmhouse, it's a tale which uncovers the truth behind 4 generations of women's trauma they endured. This film also builds suspense and tension better than most of any film this year. Number 6, April, by Dea Kalumbageshaveli. My number 5 is The Voice of Hin Rajab. Everyone needs to see this doc-narrative hybrid made by 2-time Academy Award nominee Kawthar Benhania. Her name was Hin Rajab, and she was only 6 years old. Number 4, Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. My number 3, It Was Just an Accident. Not only has writer-director Jafar Panahi won the top prize at Cannes, Venice, and Berlin, his second feature, The Mirror, won the top prize at Locarno, and his first feature, The White Balloon, won the Golden Camera at Cannes. It would be highly improbable for any filmmaker to replicate this. Greatest of all time. My number 2 film, Sentimental Value. Co-writer director Joachim Trier's life as a house with a cracked foundation. 2 sisters reunite with their estranged father, who's a well-known filmmaker, in an intimate portrait of family, love, and art. Also, Grandpa gives great gifts to a 9-year-old boy. And my number 1 film, Surat, written and directed by Oliver Lachey. So Eddie, we only had overlap with one film, but if there was one thing that you, like one theme within your list that you could see or was united in your list, what would that be?
For me, it would be reinventing certain movies, or the type of films you would see, especially that my top 2 people of the year are not necessarily people that come from the film world, but more in the art world, and trying to bring like their literature or music video aesthetics to the cinema space.
I noticed that when I was writing my list, and I just noticed the pattern emerge from mine, which was trauma, 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 trauma. Take that what you will about me and filmmaking in general in 2025. Maybe like a minute of us just staring at the screen so I can use this for multiple things. Then we'll do one where we're like, we look at each other, and then we look at the screen, and then we'll do another one where we look at the screen, and then we look at each other. And then I'll definitely probably use the Surat music. I did Rap World last year. I'll use Surat for this year.
Altering our number 1s.